Virtual again today, and I'm very, very excited to welcome Mr. Ari Bleemer. Ari, welcome. How are you today?
Thanks, Cam. Doing great. Happy to be here.
Man, I'm so glad you gave us the time, and I know you're a busy guy. Well, I know you're a busy guy, but it also it's quite obvious you're a busy guy too with what you have cooking in the tech space. So I'm very excited to share with people who may not have even heard of who you are and the software that you have really been working hard on in the past 2-3 years. So super quick story. I met you for the first time in December at the Ignite Pavement Conference. That's such a cool event, by the way. I love the small rooms, only like 100 people, and I really like the mix. I still consider myself newer in the industry, but I really like the mix of, you have younger people, like not just attending, but actually on stage, with mixed in with the guys who've been doing it for 30, 40 years. You got the PE guys there, and just super cool mix, like young and old. And so anyways, I had never heard of OneCrew software, and I believe you guys had the only table set up there, so it was kind of hard to miss.
We did. It was a great setup for us.
It was awesome. So yeah, as the story goes, I started chatting with Sam at OneCrew there, who I still chat with quite a bit. And then that whole weekend was just, I find everything that you and the company's doing completely fascinating, to be honest. So I'm excited to ask you some more questions about that specific software and let people know what this OneCrew thing is, because it's quite cool. But I'll start with you. Let's get into you first. From the outside perspective, and me not knowing that much, other than some little conversations you and I had, you seem like you are the tech guy. You are living in San Francisco. You are building this thing from scratch. You have a team of engineers on this thing. Where did this all start from, man? Where were you born? What did you do growing up, college, all that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So, right, it's not the most natural path in the world to the paving world, and the paving maintenance world. But like you mentioned, Cam, we first met back at Ignite in December. It's an awesome event. Really drives a lot of those intimate conversations, and I know they're growing it a lot in the future. So we're excited for that. When we had signed up, we thought we were going to be one of many tables sitting out there in the hall outside of the event. We ended up being the only one, which was even better. Got to interact with pretty much everyone that was there. So it was a great event, and it led to us meeting you, which obviously has been an awesome relationship that we've been building over the last several months. So a bit of my story. I was born outside of Philadelphia, so originally from the East Coast, spent childhood in the general Philadelphia area, moved down to Georgia, to Atlanta, for college. So I went to Georgia Tech, studied computer engineering there, and that's where I kind of built a lot more of that tech background. And then stayed in Atlanta for a few years after that and was in the consulting world. So I was at Bain& Company in the management consulting world, working across a number of different industries. I knew from an early age that I wanted to start a business someday. I knew from a slightly later age that I wanted it to be somewhere in the intersection of technology and kind of more on the ground industries. And as I was going through and kind of learning the business world after getting the more technical degree, really started getting interested in learning more about basically infrastructural industries. So I spent time in utilities. I spent time in some manufacturing industries, which was a little bit outside of that, but started spending time with engineers working in those industries, with people on the ground, and just really learning more about, okay, what are they using today from a technology standpoint? And as I spent more time working in these critical infrastructure industries, getting a better sense of what their day-to-days look like and how technology is playing a role, frankly, I just started growing more and more frustrated with what was available for these industries. I mean, these are industries that are supporting the way people across the country, across the continent, around the world are living day to day, and really supporting so many of the actions, specifically thinking about the paving industry. People interact with the paving industry every single day. If you walk out of your house, you're interacting with the paving industry. In most cases, again across the continent here. So started just kind of getting a better sense of what was available for these industries today. Who is building technology for these industries, and found that they're just entirely overlooked, and that the tech world, in many ways, a world that in many ways, as you mentioned, that I was living in, that I'm currently living in, has really neglected a lot of the less sexy industries out there. And so seeing a lot of that, and then, coming out of the consulting world, that's something that I wanted to work towards fixing. And so ended up starting OneCrew about 2.5 years ago now, as you mentioned. And that's one of our main goals, starting with paving industry.
Man. And that, in that context, that event that I bumped into you at, that you had the only table at, like there was other sponsors there and, who helped put on that event, of course, but like the only table, the only booth there was OneCrew. That's the perfect event for that, because that event is really, as you know, I'm sure you caught that. I mean, my goodness, they put me on a panel to discuss artificial intelligence. Like, it's designed to embrace technology in this industry, which, like, I'm newer to, you're newer to, but I observed the same things. Yeah, there's so many, I mean, at its worst, you could call it inefficiencies, but opportunities to improve and the way things have been done for, like, literally sometimes in some companies 30, 40 years. So, so the only,
and just,
yeah, go ahead.
Just to jump in on that, I mean, you mentioned to improve the ways things have been done for the last 30 to 40 years. I think that was something that was exciting to me as I started talking to a lot of people in the industry. As I was still exploring the idea of, okay, is this something that I really want to dedicate, my life to over the next several years, over the next many years of trying to build a company here. I think that's something that often is cited as the reason of why people haven't built technology or haven't built software for an industry like the paving industry. Of, oh, well, people have been doing it the same way for the last 30 or 40 years, and they're not interested in technology. They're not interested in changing the ways that they're doing things. And I think that's just completely wrong. I think there have been a lot of times and a lot of products out there that have been reasons why people are skeptical of technology, because they'll be sold a product that was, half-baked and doesn't really work for them at all. And then all of a sudden, they're not really interested in software because they had a terrible experience. They spent a bunch of money on something that didn't work and never got any support there. But one of the things that we were really excited about as we were starting OneCrew is that there's a ton of interest here. There's a ton of want for good technology. The problem is that a lot of the technology that's been offered to industries like this has been bad technology, bad software, poorly built products. But it's not that the interest isn't there. And I think that's often a misconception around industries like this.
Completely agree. Yeah. Or at its absolute worst case, maybe technology there strictly to serve the individual of the, who's built that technology, which that is not what OneCrew is about. Well, no, it's funny you say that. Like, I'm certainly not going to name names, but, I was really, really honored to have dinner with you. And, I think there was 12 of us there at the table there at the event in December, and I wasn't sitting beside you, but I sat beside a couple individuals who I know. Again, I won't name names, but I know that they have switched to your software, and this is a larger company and one that I've looked up to for many years. And I was very surprised just to hear how not casual, that'd be the wrong word. That would imply they didn't think about it, but just how committed they were to, after seeing the product demonstrated to them, it became very clear to them, like, yeah, we're going to switch to this thing, even though we have this massive company. And one of the individuals at the company was proudly showing me the way that they were doing it to that point, as far as scheduling and a lot of spreadsheets and Google form links and things like that. And some of those things work, but I was impressed to see the impact that OneCrew is making, even with larger companies. It's very eye-opening. So, because I'm always a hesitant guy with technology. I love it, but I also, I want to know what's the real deal here. So, but from the outside perspective, I want to ask you about the time involvement here. I just like to ask questions about my own curiosity, dude. So I don't know if anyone else is curious about this, but I only go off of what I see on, a Mark Zuckerberg movie of what it's like building technology from nothing into something. I presume it's an unbelievable amount of work. I mean, tell us about it.
Yeah, for sure. So, like I mentioned, OneCrew has been around for coming up on 2.5 years now. I started the company with my co-founder Max. He leads the technical side for us, so he's got a decade plus of experience as a senior software engineer. He most recently was at Google prior to OneCrew, and that's something that you kind of mentioned it in what you were just saying of a lot of the time, a lot of software products are kind of built for their own purposes internally and then marketed externally. And that's one place where we wanted to come in. If we saw a lot of paving businesses building software, and we wanted to come in as a software business building software that really was kind of the best fit possible for this industry. So when we started the company about 2.5 years ago, we came into a blank slate, right? We started with writing the first line of code early in 2022 and have built from there. We've built the entire product from scratch. Of course, we use some APIs as we can and leverage all the tools at our disposal. But overall, I mean, we're building this product every day. And I think that's one thing where, we have a full-time engineering team that's working on this platform day in, day out. So it started with myself and Max. We built from there. One of the first things, our first hires that we made were engineers, all based here in the Bay Area, all coming from prior software engineering experience and prior experience with building really world-class products, so that we knew that we were bringing the right talent in the door to build the best possible product for this industry. So definitely no shortage of late nights, early mornings put into building OneCrew. And what is really exciting to us, I mean, several of our engineers have been with us. They were some of our earliest hires. They're still with us today. And what's really exciting with us is that we still consider this platform in the early stages. So, like you mentioned, we've got large customers that are fully operating their businesses with OneCrew, but there's so much more that we can't wait to build, and that we'll be building over the next several years.
I mean, I could never do it. Well, I'm not a tech guy, so obviously I couldn't do it. But I think it just, to me, it seems easier to just pick up a seal coating rig or a line striping machine, or just go patch some potholes. Like, you know what? Any guy can go do that. But man, to build this from scratch. So you gave me I feel like that's a great answer. Like, yeah. It's like the technical answer, but like really how much work is it? Like this has got to take up. Well, I don't know. I'm not in this space. Like, again, I'm just presuming what I see in movies online when Elon Musk buys Twitter and all that stuff, which I don't know how much of that is a fair representation of starting a tech company. So how bad what's the real answer?
I mean, it's to some extent, it's a 24/7 job. And, that's, there's a lot of different pieces of that, right? There's the customer side of that. There's the support side of that. There's also the development side of that of, what's exciting about growing a software business is also scary and challenging about growing a software business. If you have more and more customers every single day that are pushing the platform in different ways and going through workflows in a variety of different ways that you never expected. And so, the challenge is, how do you build a platform that can handle all of that and can provide the guidance to users to make sure that they're completing the workflows and kind of getting where they need to get. I think, you mentioned the Zuckerberg, the media portrayal of social network, that kind of thing of, just coding all the time, day and night. I think one of the pieces that often gets left out of that portrayal is how much time and effort has to be spent on the planning side of things. And if all you're doing is coding, you're going to build a product that breaks left and right. Because if you're just going for, okay, we're just going to add a bunch of buttons here, we're going to create this feature and this feature, but it doesn't actually tie together, then all of a sudden you have a feature-rich product that's not valuable at all. And that's something that we've really focused on with OneCrew, is that when we're building new features, these features are fully integrated into the platform so that it's clear your information coming from a lead is flowing through all the way through this workflow, all the way to an invoice going out at the end of the day. So that's something that I think people often underestimate of, oh, why can't you guys just, just do this? And as the platform gets more and more complex and frankly gets more and more powerful, it also means that things take longer to develop because they are tied in so many different ways throughout the whole system. And frankly, I mean, that's one of the places where we see the most value for so many of our customers is they're used to a project from start to end. You're putting in project information 6 different times, 4 different times, and so much of that project information, it's repetitive. You can make it, typos aren't hard to make, especially if you're trying to go through moving at light speed, getting that project information for 20 different projects into a system. And so just having everything connected from start to finish provides a ton of value for a lot of folks. So I don't know if that actually answered your question, Cam, of how much time and energy is put into this, but it's something that this is what we're working on right now. All of our time and effort is going into OneCrew, building the best possible product and platform for this industry, and that's something where we're only building for this industry right now. So we are fully focused on the paving industry and making sure that we are building the best possible product for contractors across the industry.
I think I joked with you in Florida. Well, you still have your hair, so it can't be like, it can't be that.
Somehow, the genes are not in my favor for my hair, and I've definitely lost plenty throughout this process, but still hanging on to it while I can.
Hang in there. Yeah, and you managed to get away to go skiing and cause a little bit of.
That is true. Working with a broken wrist right now, so.
Yeah. Not great.
But to your point of how much work is it? It's you have a broken wrist, make sure to get a cast where you've got flexible fingers so that you can get right back to it.
Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking about what you were saying there. I'm just writing down some notes so I don't forget them. I was about that seems to me like the equivalent of just being a feature-rich technology company, or product, I should say. That's like the the equivalent of paving companies who then immediately jump into concrete work, and then immediately jump into landscaping, and then immediately jump because their clients want it. And then you get so discombobulated in this thing that you're not actually providing a cohesive solution to anything. You just do a lot of stuff. So I completely get that. I want to ask you a question. I don't know if if anyone's ever talked to you about this, or I'm sure you've thought about it. You said you're a software company designing a software. So, and that is a big difference from an asphalt company embracing and going into the software and technology side of things. Do you have any concerns, reservations, or has anyone ever mentioned that to you? Maybe of I guess what I'm saying, Ari, is by this point, I'm sure you have so much information about asphalt and paving. You could probably go out and hop on a job and have a pretty good idea what's happening. But that's not your background. Has that been difficult for you? Do you feel a sense of friction or difficulties breaking into an industry that you did not grow up with?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was something that, personally, I had to work through, of just the classic imposter syndrome in an industry that a lot of the people that I'm speaking with grew up in this industry. They were out in the field at age 12 and have been out in the field at least every summer since then, and then year round since 16 or 18 or whatever it is. And so that was something that I had to kind of build confidence in as we went. But frankly, when we started OneCrew, the very first thing that we did, and even before we actually started the company, was go out and start recruiting advisors. And so we have an advisory board that's a combination of business owners and operators, consultants in the industry, advisors for businesses in the industry, and also some people outside of paving specific, but more broadly in the construction tech industry, that have seen, seen the rise and fall of many companies and seen what's worked and what people have been able to effectively adopt, and what was kind of a quick fad that then went nowhere. And so first thing that we did was build out this group of advisors, and frankly, it's a group that is ever expanding. We continue to bring new advisors on today, because we want to have the right inputs and the right insights to the industry as much as possible. And I think, especially in those early days, that was absolutely critical. Myself and my co-founder didn't come from paving backgrounds, and so we brought on this group to really help inform our product direction and help kind of lay the groundwork and the skeleton for what we were going to go out and build. At this point, that's shifted a little bit, because at this point, we've spoken with hundreds of contractors across the country. We actively are speaking with, many of those folks. And so at this point, I actually think in some ways we have more information than someone kind of within their own business on the ground. And I will always say, again, we're a software company building software. We're not a contractor. If you send me out on a paver, it's like, I know what things are, but if you tell me to operate a paver, it's probably not going to go great. And so that's kind of, we're honest with ourselves about that, right? And so we bring in the right help that we need and the right insight that we need. We have kind of our product expertise, software platform expertise that we're bringing to the table. And it's all about making those connections and kind of gathering as much information as possible across the industry, distilling that and making sure that we're building the right solution here. And so I would say, there was some time early on that, I'm coming into this industry. I was, when we first started the business, I was 25. And so I'm coming into this industry, I'm talking to people that are 2 to 3x my age, and definitely had plenty of calls where they're shutting me down quickly and saying, oh, I don't know anything and all of that. And frankly, a big part of what has built that confidence and I guess some of that expertise over time. I mean, the expertise has come partially with time and just more conversations, but on the confidence side is that we know this product works, right? We've seen the results. And so that drives confidence more than anything of, we know we've built a platform that is transformative for businesses in this industry. And that's really exciting to us, obviously. And it's also something that, I won't lie to you. There's still times where we'll have someone where, we call them out of the blue or something like that. And they get upset with us. They start grilling us on, well, how long have you been in the industry? How long, and it's just like, look, we know that not every single contractor in this industry is the right customer of ours. That's okay. But it's something that, we've built a lot of confidence in over time. And, in a similar way of consultants kind of build up their knowledge expertise over time by working with tons of different customers, contractors, whatever it may be in a specific industry. That's a lot of what we've done over the last few years as we've been building OneCrew. And it's something, like I mentioned, I mean, it's a critical part of how we guide our product roadmap going forward, as well as continuing to solicit as much feedback from this industry as we possibly can.
Man, I'm so glad you said all that. Not for my sake, but I've seen the product. It's incredible. But just for people, like I get it. I think you're going to face an uphill battle with some certain demographics of people, and you also hit the nail on the head. Obviously, not everyone is the right customer, but just even hearing that hey, yeah, right from the very beginning, we took this seriously. We had a board of people and consulting to make sure that we're on track. I mean, that just instills a ton of confidence, I think, in a lot of people. So I'm glad you shared that. I might be the worst podcast interviewer ever. What's up, Pod Squad? This episode of the show is brought to you by our friends at MightyLine Floor Tape. So, true story, our company started using MightyLine. We found the product like half a year ago, 2023, we found it, and we started using it, and I was blown away. The product is incredible. And so many of us in the striping industry want to do interior striping, but we also know that interior striping on concrete usually does not work out very well. This is a fantastic solution. If you have customers that want safe walk lines or customized floor decals, check out their website on MightyLine. It's incredible. They have an awesome portfolio of stuff. And if you've never tried the product before, head to the website, let them know that you got the info from the podcast, and they will actually send you a free sample box. Check it out, MightyLine Floor Tape. We are so grateful for them to be sponsoring the podcast. Because I have this tendency to I just jump into the things that I want to know, Ari, because I've chatted with you a couple times before, but I think I probably should have or a little earlier on, at the very least, got the 3-minute explanation of what OneCrew is, what it does, and I feel like it's caught on so quickly that a lot of people will have heard of it. And obviously it goes without saying that, you guys will give product demos, no problem. We happily have taken 2 of those product demos and love working with Sam. So, but just give us the 3-minute rundown. Like what is the thing? What does it do? And why is it what's the differentiator with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, OneCrew is a software platform, end-to-end management platform built specifically for the paving industry. So everything from a lead coming in the door to an invoice going out the door, all in one system. And so, like I mentioned, we've seen so many companies where, whether it be pen and paper, whether it be 6 different software solutions or a highly antiquated software platform that they're working with, but just so many contractors that are struggling with their operations of kind of bringing everything through the system. It's a ton of manual work. It's a ton of repetitive work. And it's something that's really stunting their growth. And so one of the things that we've been incredibly excited about is that really we see OneCrew as a platform for growth for businesses in this industry. And something where, it can scale with your business as you grow. So we've love to see some of the smaller customers coming into OneCrew that have then grown into more of those mid-sized or larger customers. But like I mentioned, end-to-end business management for this industry. So it's specifically catered towards the paving industry, towards paving and paving maintenance, asphalt and concrete, and everything from a lead coming in, that's through the estimating process, proposals. So really robust estimating tool that then generates basically instant proposals for you that can go out immediately. And then tying all of that data. So we really see the estimate as kind of the heart of a lot of paving operations. So that has almost all of the information that you need to go out to, some of it going to your customers, some of it going to your crews, some of it going to your scheduler. And so what OneCrew does is takes all of that information, gives you the tool to build a great estimate there, a really accurate estimate, and then take all that information and deliver exactly the right information to everyone who needs it. So from that estimate, proposals, work orders are auto-generated as well. For your scheduling, all of that estimate information ties into your scheduling there. So you can see dollar amounts associated with, a week at a time of scheduling or a month at a time of scheduling. All of, the vendors that you're picking up from for a specific job. All that information tied directly into the schedule there. And then that continues to flow through. So we have a mobile app specifically built for people out in the field. That's a much simpler view where they can just see their schedule, their work orders, do job costing directly from the field. So we've had a lot of customers that have unsuccessfully tried to job cost in the past, and OneCrew has enabled it for them of just simplifying it and making it such that they can do kind of quick and easy job costing directly through the platform. And then all the way through to invoices going out to your customers. So really connects your business from end to end and allows everyone to have the right information at the right time. So it really becomes that source of truth for your full business.
That was like 3 to 5 minutes, bro. I mean, you got it. I love what you said, but the estimate, I've never heard it put that way. That the estimate is the heart of what we do. And it's like, when you say it out loud, it doesn't, it doesn't really sound like a lot, but when you think about it, yeah, that is so true. We're putting everything that we think is going to happen on a project from a time and material standpoint, and then everything that happens after that, pushing that to production, getting it on the schedule, invoicing and understanding job costs, which is a huge struggle, man. Like that's a big reason why it caught my ear in Florida, was like, oh man, us trying to understand estimates versus actuals now, it's like a weekly discussion in our company, and it's a major pain in the butt because there's just no fluid way, because we don't have a cohesive software like that. So I totally get it. I think it's really exciting. What's the
Can I jump in there real quick?
Oh yeah, no, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is really interesting about, looking at a lot of different software companies out there. So Salesforce is a really good example of this. And this is kind of coming back to the estimate being the heart of the full platform here. So Salesforce is built all around the customer, right? The customer data is the heart of Salesforce. Everything that they build is tied back to that customer data. If you're familiar with a company called Rippling, they're an HR company. What they shifted, they're trying to take a similar model to Salesforce and building all these different modules and kind of a solve everything tool. And what their shift is they're focused on employee data. So your internal employee data and building all of the tooling that you can, all based in that data. Where I think there is really a gap today is on the construction side, and specifically in the paving world, is something grounded in that estimate data, right? So you have customer data, you have employee data. Okay, all of that information, sure, you can have some of that information in OneCrew, that customer data, that can all be in there. For a construction operation, for a paving operation, I think that really the core of it all comes back to that estimate. And I frankly really don't feel like there's a strong solution out there that ties everything back there. So again, that data is everything more or less that you need for all the different individuals, both within your company as well as your customer outside of your company, and folks out in the field. And so I think that's something that we find really exciting, is that kind of ability to ground things back in that estimate data and then use that data to kind of the best leverages possible to make sure that now you have all of these other tools for your business that are really impactful, really effective.
I totally get it. Like how many striping or seal coating or paving business owners out there would sleep so much better if they actually understood what was happening in the field and having information flow back. Holy cow, that's a huge pain point for so many people in this industry, because it's not something you're taught when you start the business. I was not taught. You either learn as you go, or you do it properly and maybe teach yourself before you start business. But so many of us in the business now, we hear the expression, know your numbers. But if you don't have an easy, simplified way of doing it, man, the stress that lives in your life, holy cow. Oh, I totally get it. What's been the biggest challenge building it? I'm only going to keep it for a few more minutes here, but 2.5 years. I don't know if it's gone by quick or slow, but what's been the biggest challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely has gone by both fast and slow. There are days where it feels like I blinked and we started the company yesterday. There are days where we're grinding and it's been a grind. I think one of the challenges in this industry, as well as many other kind of more industrial industries, is go to market. Is exactly this, right? It's getting our name out there, getting our platform out there, and finding folks that are excited to have a conversation, catching people at the right time, right place. And so that's where conferences are really valuable for us, but we're continuing to find new ways where we can find people and have those really valuable and honest conversations outside of just those gatherings of folks. So, whether it's kind of building some of those spaces ourselves of gathering people together in a smaller way, in a more localized way, or just catching people individually, and kind of building the right channels there to have that more effective conversation with a lot of folks. But we knew that was going to be a challenge coming into this, and it has proven to be a challenge to some extent. But to your point earlier around having heard of us, or talking to other folks about us that might be using us, I mean, that is something that we've seen as really effective, of just as we've built out our customer base in this industry. People are willing to share best practices that they're employing in their businesses, and thankfully we are often a part of those lists of best practices. And so I think it's a special industry in the sense of how open people often are with each other around helping each other out. And so that has proven to be quite effective for us as well, really valuable for us, of just, our customers, when they're having conversations with their peers in the industry, our name is often coming up in those conversations. And so that's definitely been a challenge as we've built out this business, because especially today, we're really confident in the platform that we have, and the ability of this platform to have really positive impact on the businesses that we work with, and getting that word out, and helping kind of, we mentioned a little bit earlier, it's like in the past, there are some people that have had really poor experiences with software, and sometimes we're fighting against that, right? And so we're trying to reimagine what software can be in this industry. And so there are barriers that we have to run through to get there, but I think we're well on our way towards that.
Cool, man, that's exciting. And to verify what you said, it's happening, bro, at like what's the expression, not the grassroots level, but at the smaller levels of company sizes, we'll say, like that name is popping up in my chats that I'm in. They're in the circles, they're in the network, it's getting out there. So no, I think it's super exciting. Yeah, you're busy. I'm not going to keep you. I just want to ask you one other thing. And you said something peculiar earlier. I don't remember what you said. I attempted to half-heartedly write it down on my phone, but I didn't quite get it. But you basically alluded to something about where OneCrew goes from here, or maybe it wasn't even OneCrew specifically, but I'm sure you're 28 now, so there's still a lot more to do, a lot more to build. So what does the future look like for? Start with OneCrew first, and then what does the future look like for you? Maybe they're the same.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of consider them one and the same. It's not something that I'm looking to build and then jump away from and go do the next thing. It's I think myself, my co-founder, and our whole team here, really, we're in it for the long haul, is something that we're all really passionate about, and really excited to continue to build. So in terms of what's next for OneCrew, I think there's a few other pieces of the industry that we see as places that have a lot of room for improvement, let's say, where there's a lot of opportunity to continue to help drive the industry forward. And so one of those places is in the customer experience. So one thing that we're building off for OneCrew, and there's a number of different elements for it, is a customer portal. So a better way for contractors to directly interact with their customers, where there's more historical information in there, there's direct messaging in there, so that those conversations, those communications are well captured, as well as allowing for better sharing of before, during, and after photos, for instance, or other communications around that project. We heard a lot as we were initially coming into the industry, and then obviously I've heard plenty since being in this industry for the last few years, of just showing up on time and performing the work as you said goes a long way in this industry. And frankly, I think that is more or less yesterday's level of adequate or level of good in this industry. And I think tomorrow's level of good in this industry is going to be delivering a really great customer experience. And so, we want OneCrew to be leading the way in terms of how to deliver that top-notch customer experience. So that's one piece. And one other piece that I'll mention here is, like I mentioned, we put a lot of value in estimating. And so that's something that we're continuing to put a lot of focus on. And so there are pieces of that in terms of, building out different structures of estimates to better support DOT work or additional public work and municipal work. There are also pieces of that of starting to leverage AI to better automate estimating, and we could have a whole nother conversation on AI here, and I would love to, but starting to automate some of that estimating process as we see it. That process can't be fully automated, but you can at least get to a 90% version quite quickly using the right technology. And so a lot of things that we're working on that front as well, and excited to kind of start rolling out over the course of this year.
You're speaking to me. You're speaking to me in my generation, man. When you get into that, yeah, it's a whole. Can't find my words today, Ari. It's not a can of worms. It's an exciting thing. Like, I went on that panel in Florida to talk about AI, and yeah, it's going to take a little while. It'll take some time, but man, the potential's off the charts. So that's so cool. Yeah, it's so cool to see a company that's just so focused on your customers' experience, making sure and getting that feedback. I just love it all. So where can people find it? People want to take a demo. It's getOneCrew.com if I remember off the top of my dome, right? Yeah. So what does that process look like if people want to take a deep dive, get into it?
Yeah, getOneCrew.com. There's a button right on there to schedule a demo with us. So you can go through that flow. You'll get a demo scheduled directly with us. You can also just reach out to contact us, and we'll reach out and work with you to get something on the calendar. But yeah, getOneCrew.com is going to be the best place to find us.
Sweet. From personal experience, the guys you got there helping, fantastic. Good dudes to deal with. So where am I going to see you next? You probably go to a lot more shows than I do because I'm in the worst part of the continent. It's a little difficult to get to shows, but
I know I've got to get up there. I've got to come see the operation up there.
If you want to break more arms, yeah, we got some mountains here, bro, that you could hit. Yeah, well, put it on your list, but don't put it too high on the list. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt to get up here sometimes, but I have no doubt I'll see you at some point here in one of these shows, conferences in the near future. So, man, and I'll bet you as I see more and more progressions with OneCrew, just even from a feature standpoint, we'll have you back on. We'll run it back. We'll talk about what's the latest and greatest, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Cam. Really appreciate it.
And my pleasure. Thanks for coming on. And getOneCrew.com, folks. Go check it out.